Alexander Smith claims to be an actual time traveler who has visited the year 2118. This is our second interview with him in which he answered your questions and showed an actual picture from the future.
My name is Alexander Smith. I'm happy to be on the show again. Yes, I did see some of the feedback from the original video. I'm happy I put it out there. I'm happy I told the truth. They are looking for me, but I'm living in hiding. They aren't gonna find me. Yes, I did tell my family about the story, but only after I said it on video recording. Yes, I'd be happy to answer some questions for you.
Will aliens invade, and if so, when?
Aliens. I always wanted to know since I was a little boy, since the first time I looked up upon the stars, if there were other people out there, if there were people like us. That question has fascinated me for my whole life. And I finally got an answer to that question when I visited the year 2118 as part of a top secret CIA mission. As to my knowledge, it was one of the first times that time travel had successfully been completed. I went to the future and then back to the past. This all happened in the year 1981, and I was sent to the year 2118. So as it turns out, when I was having a conversation with one of the people who lived in the year 2118 on the street, I was having a conversation with them, and I always wondered the same question you wondered. If alien life did exist. So I asked them. I'll never forget what he said. He told me that aliens do visit us. There are intelligent extraterrestrials that do come to Earth. It is in the mid-21st century. He said it is quite a shock. And there was actually contact with intelligent extraterrestrials long before it was disclosed to the public. It is only in the mid-21st century when we officially tell the public that there is intelligent extraterrestrial life that we have made contact with. Now, these aliens don't necessarily live among us. They do visit from time to time, but only with one of the major world leaders. He said they usually only see the extraterrestrials on a television screen, never seen them in real life.
Is cash still used in the year 2118?
As to my knowledge, in the year 2118, there is not cash. It is not commonly used. However, I did take cash with me into the future. And I actually used that cash to purchase a one-way trip back to the year 1981. So cash, while it is not commonly used, as to my knowledge, it is still accepted by major vendors such as the people offering the time travel flights.
Does global warming continue?
Global warming. Global warming does continue. I remember looking at the sky and seeing a red tint to it. One of the people there told me, I don't know if you could call him a person, a robot. It had no legs and it floated a couple of feet off the ground. One of the robots told me that global warming is a serious issue, and that the landscape of the United States has changed drastically. And this was because of the rise in sea levels. Many of the species that are now endangered have gone extinct. and this is at least partly caused by global warming. I would recommend that humanity take steps right now to combat global warming because it's not a future that you want. While many things that I saw in the year 2118 are better than they are today, global warming is not one of them, and I highly recommend that humans take steps now to make the earth a better place. You may not live to see the earth, but your children and your grandchildren will. And I saw people that I assume were children and grandchildren of people that are alive today. I saw children of people that aren't even born yet. Think about the future and do everything you can to make it better. Otherwise, we as a species will regret it.
Are there handheld time machines?
Are there handheld time machines? Well, when I worked for the CIA in 1981, there was not a handheld machine. The machine that I went in was one in which I had to lay on my back on a type of stretcher, and the stretcher was placed into this large metallic box with a bunch of wires on it. I was slid in to a small slot on the box, and that is what the time machine looked like. As far as my knowledge, in the year 1981, we did not have handheld time machines. However, I'm sure that they may not exist now, but I am sure that they will exist in the future. Look at how small computers have got. They're the size of smartphones. It is only reasonable to think that the computing technology will come down in size.
In 2028, is time travel to both the past and the future possible? Or is it just the future or past?
Well, by the year 2118, time travel to the future and past is possible, and it is even possible commercially. Time travel was released to the public in the year 2028, and it existed long before then. I am not sure if in the year 2028 we are able to travel to the future and the past, but speaking from my experience, we are able to travel to the future and the past in the year 2118.
Is there still entertainment in the future, such as games, virtual reality, etc.?
Entertainment. Now, remember that I did spend a limited amount of time in the future. It wasn't a long time, but it was enough to see that entertainment does still exist in the year 2118. I witnessed people walking down the streets with goggles and glasses on, and I asked one man, I said, "Sir, why are you wearing those glasses that have what appear to be screens on them?" And remember, I was from the year 1981. We didn't have those types of screens on them. So I asked him, "What are the screens?" And he tells me that it was something called an augmented reality, in which a digital display was overlaid on top of his actual vision. Now, seen to where technology, how it is progressing as of lately, it is becoming more plausible that technology will exist, and I know it will exist, from what I witnessed in the year 2118.
Is there a different way of telling time? For example, would people still say it's currently 4 a.m.?
Yes, there is a different way of telling time in the future. It seemed as if everything was running off military time in the future.
Is there any big threats that have the potential of wiping out our species?
Is there a threat that can wipe out the species? Well, it has long been known that there are many threats that pose danger to we as humans. It includes being hit by an asteroid, artificial intelligence taking over, or an invasion from another intelligent species. But let me say, before everybody watching this, the number one threat to humanity as we know it is global warming. Rising sea levels pose immense risk, as well as the increase in CO2, which is within our atmosphere. We must take steps now to combat global warming.
Do you know anything about J. New Oliver Beck?
This is something that I didn't mention in my original interview with you. There was a large shrine in the middle of the city, which was on the ground, and there was a fountain surrounding the statue. I was curious as to what the statue was, so I walked up to it and I saw the sign on a plaque. The plaque read, J. New Oliver Beck. Apparently, he was an ex-president of the United States who was eliminated. And he was also a great philosopher. Now remember, this is looking back at J. New. I don't know all that much about him other than the statue I saw in the middle of the city. It seemed as if people really did like him, but that is to the extent of what I know about J. New Oliver Beck.
What is music like in the year 2118?
Music. I did witness people walking down the street with something that appeared to be in their ears. I walked up to one of the men with a strange, what appeared to be a wire going into his ear, and I asked him, Sir, what do you have in your ear? And he simply tapped his wrist, I remember, 2 times, and he looked at me, and he asked me to repeat my question, so I said, Sir, what do you have in your ear? And he tells me it's a auditory input device in which he can listen to music directly instead of having it transferred in the air. It goes directly into his brain. He said this provides a more fulfilling experience, and I asked him, could I try it? And he said, why, sure. He took it out of his ear and he gave it to me, so I took it. It looked as if they were 2 small needles. I put the needles in both of my ears and I couldn't feel anything when they went in. But apparently it went automatically in through my auditory nerve. And he hit a button. He tapped his wrist 2 times. And he tapped his wrist 2 times. And I heard some of the most wonderful music I have ever heard in my life. It was so clear, it was so concise. I actually began to cry right there within the first 5 seconds. Tears started rolling down my face. I'll never forget it as long as I live. I'll never forget.
Do you know anything regarding energy in the future?
Well, speaking of energy, it appeared as if energy had changed a lot. Looking upon the tops of the buildings, I saw what appeared to be solar panels on the top of them. So I assumed that we do take on cleaner energy initiatives, but the fear I have is that it was already too late. We should do it sooner rather than later. Because if this planet isn't habitable for us humans, we will cease to exist unless we can find technology that will prevent us from existing.
How are relationships between people?
I saw a couple walking down the street. It was a woman, appeared to be a human, and a male robot. The robot had no legs, and it was floating a couple of feet off the ground, and they were walking with their hands being held. I did see human and human couples and human and robot couples, but what struck me as the most odd was the female human and the male robot walking down the street holding their hands. I am unsure if this was a genuine relationship, but I do remember it striking me as odd.
What languages do people use in the year 2118?
Everybody I spoke to did speak English, but they told me they were using a translating device within their ear to be able to speak English. Other than that, they spoke a language I never heard of. I still remember the language, bits and pieces, but I couldn't say it now if I tried. I also saw people standing, looking at each other but not saying anything. I assumed they were possibly communicating telepathically by way of technology, of course, but I assumed they were speaking telepathically because I saw them nodding their heads at each other but not saying a single word from their mouth. I remember being fascinated by it. I'll never forget.
Do you have any evidence you can share with us?
I do have something to show you today. This picture was taken in the year 2118. This picture was the city I walked in. I'll never forget when I took that picture. It was right outside the city before I had walked into it. I chose to wait until now to reveal that picture to you, because I didn't know if the world was ready to see it. That was a picture from the future, which I was able to take back. There was only a minor amount of distortion on it, and that was caused by the time traveling process. I remember the government confiscated the original copy, but before they did so, I did manage to make the copy that I held before you today. I was happy to answer some of your questions, and I would like to come on again and answer any more questions that you may have. Thank you to Apex TV for distributing my message, and thank you for watching. Yes, you have a good day as well.
What do you think? Is Alexander Smith an actual time traveler who has been to the future? Is this an actual photo from the year 2118? Be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. We recently interviewed a man who claims to have traveled back in time and seen dinosaurs with his own eyes. Also, we interviewed a woman who claims to have taken a selfie in the future. These videos and much more are coming very soon. We will also be doing a live stream with Alexander Smith, so to make sure you don't miss it, subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, if we're getting a call from a supposed time traveler and we go live, having notifications on will ensure that you don't miss it. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the next video. Peace out.